Hello everyone, welcome to Karma Education. We have started PYQ series and already have covered questions 51 to 100 from June 2025 UGC NET Education Paper 2. In this video, we will discuss questions from 101 to 110 along with detailed explanations. So, let's get started. So, the question number 101. Arrange the given in chronological order. Option A, Indian National Satellite. Option B, Center for Educational Technology. Option C, Computer Literacy and Studies. Option D, Satellite Instructional Television Experiment. And option E, SWAM. Now you have to choose the correct answer from the given option. Okay? Think carefully and give the correct answer. The correct answer over here is option 3. Option 3 starts with option D means site, then B means Center for Educational Technology, then A INSAT, then class, and after that SWAM. Let's understand why it is the correct chronological order. The correct chronological order begins with site, which was launched in 1975 as a satellite-based educational television experiment. After that, CET or Center for Educational Technology was introduced in 1984 under NCERT, okay, to promote educational technology and media-based learning. Next comes INSAT. From 1983 onwards, educational communication through satellite that expand significantly across India. Then came class, Computer Literacy and Studies in Schools, introduced in 1984 to promote computer education among school students. Finally, SWAM was launched in 2017 as the Government of India's major online learning platform, right? So, remember for NET examination specifically, SITE stands for Satellite Instructional Television Experiment, and it is associated with satellite based educational television. Then CET stands for Center for Educational Technology under NCERT. INSAT played a major role in educational communication and broadcasting. Class promoted computer literacy in schools. SWAM is India's online learning platform for higher education and lifelong learning. Quick revision point: educational technology in India is closely associated with satellite education, computer assisted learning, digital learning platforms, and ICT in education. Moving to question number 102. Arrange the steps of systems approach given by Robb, 1974. Option A, specifying appropriate strategies. Option B, defining and assigning personal roles. C, determining initial behavior. D, defining objectives. E, specifying material, aids and media. Choose the correct answer from the options given below. Take a few seconds and think about your correct answer. The correct answer is option 4. Option 4 means DCABE. Defining objectives first. Then C, option C, determining initial behavior. Then A, specifying appropriate strategies. Then E, specifying material, aid and media, and after that defining and assigning personal role. Let's understand why. According to Robb's system approach, the process begins with defining objectives. Unless the objectives are clearly stated, it becomes difficult to plan any effective instruction. After setting the objectives, the initial behavior or entry behavior of learners is determined. This helps the teacher to understand learners' existing knowledge, skills and readiness. Next, appropriate teaching strategies are selected for this instruction to achieve the objectives. Finally, once the strategies are finalized, suitable materials, aids and media are specified to support teaching learning process. Finally, personal roles and responsibilities are defined and assigned to ensure proper implementation of the instructional plan. Remember, for your UGCNET exam, system approach focuses on organized instructional planning. Okay, then objectives guide the entire teaching learning process. The entire teaching learning process is guided by objectives, right? Media and materials support instruction. Clearly defined roles and responsibilities ensure proper implementation. Quick revision point: system approach is associated with instructional design, educational technology. It emphasizes a planned teaching learning process. It follows the input process output model. Many students remember the individual steps but forget the sequence. Just remember this simple order. First, define objectives. Second, determine initial behavior. Third, select appropriate strategies. Fourth, specify materials and media. And finally, assign personal roles and responsibilities. Okay, all right, let's move to the next question. Now, the question number 103, arrange the following steps of SWOT analysis. Option A, develop strategic actions. Option B, prioritize key factors. Option C, analyze external factors. Option D, implement and monitor changes. Option E, brainstorm and list factors. Now you have to choose the correct answer from the options given below. Take a few seconds and think about your answer. The correct answer over here, option 3, E, B, C, A, D. E means brainstorm and list factors. Then B, prioritize key factors. C, analyze external factors. A, develop strategic actions. And D, implement and monitor changes. Let's understand. SWOT, it is also known as SWOT analysis, begins with brainstorming and listing all important factors related to strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats. Once all factors have identified, the next step is to prioritize the most important one, the key factor. Okay, this helps focus attention on the factors that have the greatest impact, right? After prioritization, external factors such as opportunities and threats are carefully analyzed. Based on the analysis, strategic actions are developed to make the best use of strengths and opportunities while addressing the weaknesses and threats, right? Finally, the planned actions are implemented and continuously monitored to ensure desired outcomes. Remember, for NET exam, SWOT stands for strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats, right? And it is widely used in planning and decision making. It helps organization to identify areas for improvement and future growth. It is an important tool in strategic management, right? Quick revision point: SWOT analysis is associated with strategic planning. It is used in instructional development and it supports organizational analysis. It plays an important role in decision making and policy formulation. A simple way to remember the sequence is this: first, list the factors. Second, prioritize them. Third, analyze the external environment. Fourth, develop strategic actions. And finally, implement and monitor these actions. Okay. All right. Let's move to the next question. Moving on to question number 104. Arrange the following goals of Individualized Education Plan I.E.P in correct sequence. Option A, specific. Option B, attainable. Option C, time bound. Option D, result oriented. Option E, measurable. Now choose the correct answer from the options given below. Take a moment and think carefully about your answer. The correct answer over here is option 2, that is A, E, B, D, C. A means specific, then E, measurable, B, attainable, then D, result oriented, and after that C, time bound. Let's understand these. The goals of an individualized education plan or I.E.P generally follow the SMART approach. The correct sequence is SMART approach. Current sequence is specific, measurable, attainable, result oriented, and time bound. So stands for SMART. The next goals should be the correct order. First of all, it begins with specific. The goal should be specific. The objectives should clearly state what the learner is expected to achieve. After that, goals should be measurable so the progress can be assessed and monitored. After that, the goals should be attainable. In other words, they should be realistic and achievable according to learners' abilities and needs. The fourth characteristic is result oriented. The focus should remain on meaningful learning outcomes and educational progress. Finally, the goal should be the time bound. A clear time frame helps teachers or parents evaluate whether the objectives have been achieved within the planned period or not. These characteristics help in preparing clear, achievable, and effective educational goals for children with special needs. Remember, for NET exam, I.E.P stands for Individualized Education Plan. It is specially prepared for children with special educational needs. It focuses on personalized learning goals, support services, and individualized progress. Okay, and the purpose of I.E.P is to ensure that every learner receives instruction according to his or her unique requirements. In quick net point, we can say I.E.P is closely associated with inclusive education. It is an important concept in special education. It focuses on individual learning goals and it promotes learner-centered planning and instruction. A simple way to remember this sequence of SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, and time-bound. Many questions in UGC NET are asked from inclusive education and special education. So make sure you remember, you are going to remember all the full forms of related to inclusive education like I.E.P, and of course you have to remember its characteristics. Moving on, question number 105. Arrange the focus points given as document of N.C.F 2005 in correct sequence. You have to identify the correct sequence of focus points as given in N.C.F 2005. Option A, availability of minimum infrastructure and material facilitates for better learning environment. Option B, reconstruction of school curricula to emphasize the pedagogic potential of work. Option C, integration of environment concerns into teaching disciplines. Option D, emphasize on promoting peace-oriented values in all subjects. Choose the correct answer from the options given below. Think carefully and give the right answer. The correct answer over here is option 3, B, D, C, A. B, D, C, A. Let's understand the sequence of focus point of N.C.F 2005. According to the official UGC NET answer key, the sequence begin with reconstruction of school curricula to emphasize the pedagogic potential of work. N.C.F 2005 strongly advocated work-oriented education and learning through productive activities. The next focus point is the promotion of peace-oriented values across all subjects. The framework emphasized education for peace, tolerance, cooperation and democratic citizenship. After that comes the integration of environmental concerns into teaching disciplines. Rather than teaching environmental education as a separate subject, N.C.F recommended integrating environmental awareness across the curriculum. Finally, the framework highlighted the importance of providing minimum infrastructure and material facilities. Minimum infrastructure and material facilities to create supportive learning environment. Now, some important points for UGCNET exam. N.C.F 2005 emphasized work-centered education. Peace education was considered an important curricular concern. Environmental awareness was integrated into all disciplines and better infrastructure was viewed as essential for effective learning. Quick revision point. N.C.F 2005 is associated with child-centered learning. It promotes the constructivist approach to teaching learning, emphasizes peace education and environmental education, and it supports work-based, activity-based learning. Many students remember N.C.F 2005 for constructivism, but you also remember its focus on work education, peace education, environmental integration and learner-centered pedagogy. This is very important area for UGCNET because questions related to N.C.F 2005 appear frequently in previous year's papers. Let's move to the next question. Question number 106. Choose the correct statement. Option A, formal system of schooling is based on the philosophies of idealism and realism. Option B, schools formal social system has hierarchy of positions along which people are assigned different roles. Option C, realism does not recommend the definite curriculum. Option D, informal and non-formal education have their roots in the progressive philosophy of education. Option E, idealism believes that knowledge can be obtained without the help of teacher. Think about the question and choose the correct option from the given sequence of options. The correct answer over here is option 2, that is A, B, D only. You have to choose the correct statements. Read the question carefully. You have to choose the correct statements. Among the 5 statements, which are the correct one? According to official answer key, the correct answer is option 2, that is A, B, D only. Now, let's understand why only A, B, D are true and others are incorrect. Option A, it is correct. Why? Option A is correct because formal schooling has been strongly influenced by both idealism and realism. These philosophies have shaped educational aims, curriculum and teaching practices across the world. Option B, option or statement B is also correct because schools function as formal social organizations. They have a hierarchy of positions such as principals, teachers and students with clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Statement D is correct. Statement D is also correct because non-formal and informal education are closely connected with progressive philosophy. Now, progressive education, what it is? Progressive education emphasizes flexibility, learner participation and learning through experience. That's why the statement D is also correct. Now, let's look at the incorrect statement, that is option statement C. Statement C is incorrect because realism actually supports a definite and structured curriculum. based on real life experiences, scientific knowledge and objective facts. Here in C or statement C says that realism does not recommend the definite curriculum, but in actually realism recommend the definite curriculum. That is why option C is incorrect. Statement E, it is also incorrect. Why? As it was saying that idealism believes that knowledge can be obtained without the help of teacher. But in reality, idealism assigns very important role of teacher. According to idealist, the teacher serves as a guide, mentor and moral leader in the educational process. Okay. So, this is how you have to exclude or eliminate the incorrect statements. Quick net point, educational philosophy is commonly associated with idealism. It is also associated with realism. Progressive education is another important area frequently asked in NET exam, and questions on formal, informal, non-formal education are regularly seen in previous year question. Now the next question is 107. Which of the following is not related to Soren Kierkegaard? Option A, truth is introvert and subjective. Option B, the world is ideas centered, entire universe is only an idea. Option C, existence of individuality is reliable and it comes prior to thinking. Option D, in order to find self-existence, subjective experience and objectivity both are important. Option E, existential self-experience is necessary. Now you have to choose the most appropriate answer from the options given below, but the question was dropped by UGC NET in the official answer key. Understand why? The question contains conceptual ambiguity as several statements are partially connected with existentialism and subjective philosophy. Kierkegaard mainly emphasized subjective truth, individual existence, personal experience and self-realization. He is often regarded as father of existentialism because he focused on the individual's search for meaning and authentic existence. However, some statements in these questions overlap with concepts associated with idealism and broader existential thought. Because of this overlap, it becomes difficult to identify some completely correct combination. As a result, different interpretations may lead to different answers. Due to this conceptual ambiguity, UGC NET officially dropped the question in the final answer key. So, beside this, we can extract some important point from these, that existentialism is associated with freedom and choice. It emphasizes individual experience, it gives importance to subjective truth and it focuses on self existence and personal responsibility. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. Moving on the next question, question number 108. This question is from Unit 2, Educational Finance. Identify the correct statements from the following. Option A, factor cost of education can be exactly put in the same fashion as treated in the case of a firm or an industry. Option B, there are no separate price indices for use in educational setup. Option C, educational demand is an external determinant of educational cost. Option D, rate of economic growth does not limit availability of revenues to education. Option E, unit costs have been used in the literature in many ways according to the objectives in view. Choose the correct answer from the options given below. Take a pause and give the correct answer. The correct answer over here is option 4, that is B, C, E only. So B, C, E statements are correct, other options are incorrect. Okay, let's move to the explanation part. Option B is correct because education generally does not have separate price indices like industries and manufacturing sectors. Option C, statement C is also correct because educational demand affects expenditure and educational cost from outside the educational system. Then statement E is correct because unit cost is used differently according to the objectives and purposes of educational studies and planning. Now let's look the incorrect statements like option A. It is incorrect as educational cost cannot be treated exactly like industrial or business cost. And statement D, this is also incorrect because economic growth directly affects the availability of revenue and resources for education. For UGC NET exam, you have to remember educational cost differs from industrial cost. Educational demand influences educational expenditure. Unit cost is an important concept in educational finance and planning. So, quick revision point, educational finance is associated with educational cost, unit cost analysis, demand factors and resource allocation. One thing you should not forget, whenever you see questions related to educational cost, unit cost, budgeting or resource allocation, you have to recap entire knowledge related to educational finance that comes under unit 2. Okay. Moving on to the next question, question number 109. Which of the following are salient features of zero-based budgeting or Z.B.B? Option A, adaptability is necessary. Option B, it considers an incremental approach. Option C, decision-making units need not to be identified. Option D, it considers choice and withdrawal. Option E, management hierarchy is not a component. You have to choose the correct answer from the options given below. Now think carefully and give the right answer. The correct answer over here is option A, option 1, A and D only. So the salient features of zero-based budgeting is adaptability is necessary and it considers choice and withdrawal. Now understand the concept. Zero-based budgeting requires adaptability because every budget proposal is examined from beginning without assuming previous allocation. Previous allocations are not automatically accepted and each expenditure must be justified appraised, right? Another important feature of zero-based budgeting is the concept of choice and withdrawal. This means programs can be continued, modified and reduced or even withdrawn depending on their effectiveness and necessity. Now let's look the incorrect statements also. That is option statement B. It is incorrect because zero-based budgeting does not follow an incremental approach. Unlike traditional budgeting, it does not assume that last year's budget should automatically continue with minor adjustments. Statement C, this is also incorrect option, as decision making units must be clearly identified in zero-based budgeting. These units form the basis for evaluating and prioritizing expenditures. Statement E is incorrect because management hierarchy plays a significant role in budget review, evaluation and approval. Now, important point for UGCNET, zero-based budgeting starts from zero every year. Zero-based budgeting starts from zero every year. Previous budgets are not automatically continued. Every expenditure must be justified. The focus is on efficiency, effectiveness and accountability. Quick revision point, zero-based budgeting is associated with educational finance. It is widely used in budget planning. It supports resource optimization and it is closely related to decision package analysis. Many students confuse zero-based budgeting with incremental budgeting. Just remember this simple distinction. Incremental budgeting begins with the previous year budget, but zero-based budgeting begins from zero and requires fresh justification for every expenditure, right? One thing you should not forget, that the key idea behind zero-based budgeting is not increasing or decreasing last year's budget. The key idea is justification. Every activity must prove its worth before receiving funds. Moving on to the next question, question number 110. Which of the following statements related to learning theory approach to counseling are incorrect? So this question is from Unit 3. Statement A is Dollard and Miller relates psychoanalytic methods to reinforcement learning theory. Statement B, counseling according to Pepinski's aims to strengthen the counselor's behavior. Statement C, I.E.P refers to the conditioning methods in counseling as behavior therapy. Statement D, irrational behavior is learned and it cannot be changed through learning or relearning. Statement E, according to Pepinski's, the cultural context does not provide conditions assumed to be antecedent or subsequent learning. Now you have to choose correct answer from the options given below. A and C only, B and C only, B and D only, C and E only. But the official status of this question is the question was dropped by UGCNET. UGCNET official answer key. Let's try to understand why the question was dropped. Okay, the question created conceptual ambiguity because several statements are closely connected with learning theory and behavioral counseling approaches. Statement A, it is generally accepted as correct because Dollard and Miller attempted to connect psychoanalytic concepts with learning theory. Their work explained behavior through concepts such as drive, cue, response and reinforcement. Statement B is also correct. According to Pepinski's, counseling is essentially a learning process that helps strengthen desirable behavior and improve adjustment. Statement C, it is commonly associated with behavior therapy. Hence, I.E.P popularized the use of conditioning methods for behavior modification and counseling. And statement D, here is the confusion. Statement D, it says that irrational behavior is learned and cannot be changed through learning or relearning. The problem is here that learning theorists generally believe the opposite. If behavior is learned, it can also be modified, relearned or changed through appropriate learning experiences. And statement E also creates difficulty because learning theory recognizes the importance of environmental and cultural influences on behavior. Therefore, many scholars disagree with the idea that cultural context does not influence subsequent learning. Because of these overlapping interpretations and conceptual issues, identifying one exact combination of incorrect statements became difficult. As a result, UGCNET officially dropped this question. Quick revision, we can say guidance and counseling questions often focus on major theorists and their contributions. Dollard and Miller connect psychoanalysis with learning theories. Pepinski's emphasized counseling as learning. I.E.P is linked with behavior therapy, and learning theory emphasizes that behavior can be learned, modified and relearned. Okay. That's all for today's video. We have successfully covered questions from 101 to 110 from the June 2025 UGC NET Education Paper 2. I hope these questions and explanations helped you understand the concepts better and strengthen your preparation. If you found this video useful, please like, share and subscribe to Karma Education. Also, don't forget to press the bell icon so that you never miss our upcoming UGC NET Education previous year question videos. In the next video, we will continue with questions 111 to 120. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.